Friends, I welcome you again in this series of discussion, Ray of Hope, on our Students Pledge page. You know, up till now, we have conducted discussions on various issues related to the students in particular and the entire society in general. Today, we have with us a distinguished activist, Shri K. Uma. She is a former All India leader of AIDSO, and from her student life, she has been working not only for the students but for women and all the sections of the society. Her activities among the students is remarkable, but more remarkable are her activities for the emancipation of women, not on the basis of any women chauvinism or like that, but equality of men and women for the emancipation of the entire society, and for that sake, the emancipation of the women. When we were in our student life, starting this, our life as student activists, she was among the initial inspiration source for all of us, and her entire life she has dedicated to the society. So obviously, she we can understand that she has followed the lofty ideals in her life, and it is really our honor to hear from her, and it will be also worth uh, implementing her tips, what she tells in her speech. So with these words, I would request Shri K. Uma to give her initiate her discussion on uh, ideals before the students. You can start now.
Okay. Hello, my dear students and other friends. Today, the subject is the ideals in front of students. This is a really wonderful subject, I feel. Before I start, I like to greet you all and extend my revolutionary greetings to you all. Already, he told me that I worked for students' cause and I was for long in students' movement. And I observed one thing while working among students, student force is having an unique quality. They're highly energetic and they're highly emotional, very bright, youthful. In one sense, I tell you, you, the students, are the future generation, an inspiring force in creating history. Actually, I like to tell one point. I'm a follower of Marxist philosophy and student of Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, and taking inspiration from his thoughts, I like to place my views how we have to tackle this issue, how we have to understand. There is one confusion in the society. That is why we should have ideals. We can live just like that. This ideals means it is impractical. You should be pragmatic. You should live just like that. And keeping these ideals and principles, you only suffer. This type of wrong understanding is propagated in this society. You know that those who are enjoying everything, those who are getting everything, those who are living on the sweat and blood of others, they talk like this because they fear ideals, because they fear the student force which created this tree. Here, I like to tell my dear friends, ideal means it is not liking something, some quality, some character, and appreciating some values in others. That much is not ideal actually. Ideal means how you understand the values and character in other personalities, how you acquire that in your own life, how you adopt in your life, how you practice without compromise, then only it will become real ideal. Simply talking of ideals, talking of great things is one thing, another is how you practice it, how you take inspiration. Here I like to tell, you have seen in society many people how they live, say a son or daughter. In their childhood, they take their mother or father or uncle or auntie as their ideal, or they are their heroes. But much more deeper, if you go in this society, it is not just from families or from neighbors we have to take. In society, who created this society, fought for social justice, who fought for truth, who gave their lives, who contributed many things, more than anything, who conducted struggles to change the society and helped the oppressed people and make the society great. And such people, we feel they are our ideals. But in our college days, or in our school days, or as you are students of this very country, you see that how you are taught about these things. If you observe today, we see that in society, because it is a society where there is no hope, there is no future, and students are also not having any ideals, aimless, and total vacuum in cultural field. With all pain, we are observing this. Why it is happening? Because when you go to your colleges, your parents, your teachers, and your friends, most of them will teach you and tell you, build your career, develop yourself as a very rich man, earn very well. And many people teach that what you want to become in your life, what is your aim. And naturally, students will tell they like to become doctor, they like to become engineer, or they like to become some artist, or they like to become IAS officer. Here and there, some students will tell, I like to do something for the society. That is, I like to become IAS officer, I can fight for justice, I can do something. This is one section. And another section will tell, you see, I suffered in life so much. I want to enjoy my life. I like to build my future. I like to earn a lot of amount, a lot of money. And I like to go to abroad. I like to settle there. I like to become rich man. And I want to be recognized by my wealth and my very good life I want to lead. This is the aim we hear many times from students and friends. Why it is coming? Because our education system is also creating this type of atmosphere. You see gradually how they're changing our textbooks, our policies, and recent national policy on education. If you see it, it is totally opened the gate of uh, commodification of education and total business in education, and it is helping the corporate houses, not the real knowledge. And rather they like to take the students to the old ages, and that is the correct knowledge they will tell. Real knowledge we are not getting. In colleges, if you get this, and another thing we observe, and you know very well, when you are taught in your schools, in history textbook or social studies or science, what do you see? In a history textbook, they will tell only history of great kings, how that king conquered another kingdom, how he expanded his kingdom, how he expanded his wealth, and which year, what is his Raja's name, Cholas or Pandyas or whoever it is. This is what they like to tell about the history. But real history they will not teach. Real history means history, what itself tells his history, his story. His story is history. That's what we learned. Real history means history of the society. How society came, how civilization has come, why society got divided into haves and have-nots, why society is changing, how this wealth has come, how this private property has come, why some people are rich, why lakhs and lakhs, crores and crores of people are suffering, why they are oppressed. This many things actually they have to explain when they explain about history. In our textbooks, they tell about First World War, they tell about Second World War, they tell about French Revolution, few lines, but all these things they won't tell in the background of real historical facts or scientific analysis. This is what we are listening. And science means you know very well, it is totally full of facts, information, and real scientific spirit you will not get. You see, even our scientists, those who study science, those who practice, most of the scientists today we find, I feel very sorry to share this point, they will be experimenting many things in the laboratory. But when they come out of laboratory, when they face life problems, they will go to Tirupati or they go to the God and pray to the God. And some scientists, when they use any scientific experiments, like when they release rocket, they will tell that, yes, first let me break the coconut and it will be very correct, very sacred, then my work will be successful. This is the attitude, if you see, how scientific temperament will come, how students can learn from their teachers, how they can learn in schools and colleges in their education system, what they have to understand, how they have to understand history. Friends, here, the most worrying thing is in this atmosphere, the way our education system is based on money. You have to purchase education means students think how I have to earn back that amount by becoming doctor or by becoming engineer. This is the aim they feel. So in this atmosphere, I feel it is a challenging subject because AIDSO student organization all through conducted this type of discussions to uphold the lofty ideals of great men like Bhagat Singh, Khudiram, Subhash Chandra Bose, Vidyasagar, Sharat Chandra Chatterjee, Jyotiba Phule, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So many people who contributed to the society, so many things, great things. So here I like to tell this point. Students should dream just not to become a man who can earn so much of amount, who can get very big medals and very degrees. Rather, man should think how he is a product of the social struggle and how he has to give back to the society. So here I like to place many points to you. So many people become very great in this society, I told, and how they contributed to the society for social change. About such people, I like to tell you and bring to your knowledge certain issues. Here I like to say And I like to read one quotation of Vivekananda. Vivekananda, sorry, first page. Vivekananda's quotation, he tells very beautifully, education is not the huge amount of information that we put into our brain and runs riot there, right there, and gets undigested in entire life. We must have life building, man making, character building process, and assimilation of noble ideas and emotions through education. This is what Vivekananda tells. That means it is not that we have to learn so many facts, put in our brain, and that will get decayed there, that will get rotten there. This is not the education. Education means it is a character building and man making process, and it should give lofty ideas and lofty emotions in our knowledge. Then only it becomes real education. That's what Vivekananda tells. But what we are getting today, that education is not real education, I can say. Then here, my dear friends, I like to introduce some great men who created great values and who created great characters through their struggles. And some such people I like to introduce among scientists or among social reformers or among freedom fighters. Like, say, scientists like Einstein, Madame Curie, Bruno, Vidyasagar, Bhagat Singh, Netaji, these are all freedom fighters. Or philosophers like Vivekananda, Buddha, Christ, Socrates. And lastly, I like to tell the great personality on whose ideology I am conducting my struggle in my life. That is Karl Marx and Comrade Shivdas Ghosh. About them, I like to place certain points. Then only you will get a correct picture, I feel. Why they become very great is more important. Why that to be our ideals? Why that to be our heroes? I tell you, students should have their real heroes, real ideals, because you are seeing this society today full of problems. And in society, we are watching after this corona, how many types of problems are coming, how society is getting exposed so nakedly. All these things I'll tell you in the end. But what role we have to play to change this society and resolve the problems, for this I feel we need some inspiration. I have seen many students ask many times, why, madam, this society is like that? Why society is suffering like this? Why some are rich? Why some are poor? Why all are not getting employment? Why all are not getting good education? Why some people are not able to feed their children? Why some people are living in a very, very wretched way, very, very difficult manner? Why they are suffering? Where is the solution? Why this many problems are there? Why this much discrimination? What sin I have done? These are all the questions when we face. We cannot come just helplessly. Yes, we cannot do anything. Yes, this is what happening. This is the fate of the society. What to do? You have to adjust. This cannot be an answer of a real student or real young man. The answer is we have to search about whom are going to place before you. These great people, they searched, they struggled, they tried to find out what is the root cause, how to solve these problems in their own way. You cannot say all the paths, all the solutions, what they gave is totally correct. But we have to appreciate their struggle, their love for the people, their love for the suffering people. the way they want to resolve the problems, give some solution, give some answer to the suffering people. Here we have to understand about some great men. There I like to begin with Vivekananda. You know that Vivekananda struggled a lot. Yes, Vivekananda's ideas and ideology and philosophy, I don't think so it can give correct path today to all the problems. Yes, we'll carry some differences with his philosophy or his spiritual ideas. But the greatness of Vivekananda, really about Vivekananda, many people do not know. He has got actually two faces. Many people think Vivekananda is a spiritual man and dharmika personality. He believes only religion. He teaches about Hindu religion. He preaches about it. He propagandas about it. No, he is not that much, my dear friends. He has got another face. Very peculiarly, how much ever he believed Vedant, Upanishads, or God, or Kali, he prayed to the God, what you know? Kalima, please tell me what is my aim? What is my duty? What shall I do? Then his own mind tells him, please serve these suffering people, have humanity, go and take care of the oppressed people. He felt, yes, Goddess has told me I have to go. This is what he felt. But friends, he never brought that Goddess in question of public affairs. And Vivekananda tells very beautifully, hands off religion. Religion, please hands off. Don't interfere in social affairs. Then everything will become all right. This is Vivekananda. Today we are seeing those who talk of secularism, those who talk of secular concepts, they are patronizing all religions equally in all educational institutions. To fill up your application form, you have to tell whether you are Hindu or Christian, or you have to believe God or not. The minute you go to institution, either you have to pray Christ, or you have to pray Ganesha, or you have to pray Muhammad, some God you have to pray. They're bringing God inside the school, inside the institutions, inside the textbooks, inside the knowledge. But Vivekananda tells not to bring all these things in public affairs, in social affairs. This is what Vivekananda, I like to tell this Vivekananda's, this place we should know. And another beautiful thing, though he believed religion, he feels for common people, he feels for poor section, he feels for suffering people. That's why he tells, first bread, next to religion. See the firm talk. Just in one sentence, he makes his mind very clear to all of us. First, give the bread to all, then you talk of religion. Another beautiful saying, a single dog in my country starves, I shall not propagate religion. I shall not propagate religion. A single dog starves in the nation. This is Vivekananda. This Vivekananda many people do not know. His quotation about downtrodden and lower caste people, he feels for them. Why in society this discrimination, upper caste, lower caste, or downtrodden, rich people? He always used to feel for them. One side, daily prayer. Another side, typical love for the people, typical love for the country, typical love for the oppressed people. He tells once very beautifully, the downtrodden, the lower caste people may not wear suit boot like you the rich, you the upper caste. They may not read many books like you, but they make food for you with their sweat and blood. They make clothes for you. If they stop it, what will happen to you? If one day they stop cleaning, when you stand in Calcutta Road, please watch. One day if they stop, Bengali Babus, he is asking, if they stop, these downtrodden, these lower caste people, They stop cleaning the roads. You cannot live 1 second also in Calcutta roads, he tells. And he tells, you dominate them. You boast you are educated. And you always heckle them. They don't have knowledge. You have got great knowledge. But once they give up the labor through which they're creating many facilities to you, what will happen to you? And once if they decide to take avenge, yes, we will not do any work, we will not prepare anything for you, then you understand how they're valuable. And Vivekananda further tells, yes, this downtrodden, this lower caste, these people one day may rule the country. This is Vivekananda. What an urge he carries, what a love he carries. Why I feel like this? Because he never thought with his knowledge, with his understanding, he has to build his career. He has to make huge money in his life. He actually, Vivekananda, whatever he believed, he practiced. His beliefs we may not agree, all his ideas we may not agree. For that he walked and walked minds together. He was a very unhealthy person, but he never cared about his health. So many health problems. You know that he died in very young age. This Vivekananda, many times we quote, my dear friends, AIDSO has got one very beautiful heritage, because if you forget these great people, if you forget their struggles and through which society progressed, through which society developed, I think you lose everything. This is what DSO usually tells about it. And next to Vivekananda, I like to tell about another personality, that is Christ. Christ was many people think Christ is a God, and in his name a religion also got created. But Christ was not just as all think God. He was a revolutionary. Many do not know this fact. First Spartacus came, and Spartacus fought for slaves and he organized slaves, but ultimately he was crucified. He could not get success in that struggle. But then Christ came. He worked among shepherds, he worked among downtrodden, he worked among poor people. Always you find Christ standing on a stone and addressing people. They will be very, very poor section. And this Christ, when he was caught, because kings were very angry, he was uniting people. He was giving moral strength to them. And Christ first time told all oppressed people, God did not create people, some people rich, some people poor. God created all men equally. That is why you have to stand on that. He gave moral courage to slaves, and moral courage to slaves to raise their voice against slave masters. That was Christ. When Christ was, what I want to share with you, this is one thing is aim, another thing is character, very beautiful character. He loved people very, very deeply. He never developed hatred or disliking or anger against people who wanted to catch him and make him to kill. His disciple actually does that job. Then he excuses them. He tells very beautifully, you are innocent, you are ignorant. That is why you did this ignorant job. My dear disciples, I have got no anger. Ultimately, king will arrest him and they put him in prison. Later on, they take him, they crucify him. Then the last day you must see, when Christ was crucified, when that last nail, that person who was beating on his head, Christ asked that person, my dear, are you getting any pain to do your job? See, his conviction, you see, this is what I want to tell you, my dear students. Once you believe something as your aim, Once you believe something as your ideal and believe it very seriously, take it very seriously, that was Christ. He asked that man who is killing him, is asking him, are you getting pain? No anger, because it is his principle. That is his belief. That was Christ. And Christ used to propagate things through beautiful stories. Once one old lady and so many people gathered in one place, and Christ was telling others, and somebody wants to build a temple. They're collecting funds, and all started giving huge amount, many rich people, very huge amount. Then old lady gave very few coins. And Christ tells, yes, this old lady gave the highest amount. People get questioned, little angry also. How you can say she has given highest? Then he tells, you are given a portion from your amount. She has given everything, whatever she has got. This is character. This is the value. And he is really an historical figure, a great personality and great lover, and great humanity he carried. And the way he feels, once when people will be throwing stones on one prostitute, she will be running, and people will be chasing. Then she comes to Christ. Then Christ gives a sort of shelter to her, and he will stop all people. Why? You are throwing stones on her? Then they will tell, no, no, she has done a sin. She has done a bad thing. That is, she is to be killed. We have to beat her. Then Christ tells, he used to carry that, what I can say, if you tell something, people used to take it also very seriously, because he was such a personality. He was not telling something, doing something, no duality. So people used to carry respect. When he tells, don't do this, I'll ask you one question. Please tell me, have you not done sin a single minute, a single day in your life? And all tell, yes, we have done some sin in our life. Then what right you have got to tell she's a sinner and you like to beat her and kill her? Please, those who did not do any sin, that person only can raise the stone and beat this lady, this poor lady. Then everybody simply throw their stones. They will tell, no, we can't do this. And this beautiful story, when we hear, we understand how Christ loves oppressed without any biased mind. How it is possible to him? Because he knows the heart of the people. He knows the tears of the people. He came here to wipe the tears, give it to affection, give the moral courage to all this type of suffering people. That is why Christ become great. And the people of those days, there was no science. Ultimately, they made him God. Today, also, they are following same thing. Another beautiful personality, I tell you, another religious personality, that was Buddha. Buddha was a son of a great king. It was a clan kingdom. In that clan kingdom, he was a king, and his father was very rich, and Chakravarti was emperor. To that extent, he earned so much of money, so much of wealth, and he was enjoying life. But father felt, son, one day he may change some. Astrologers tell something, so out of that fear, he keeps sons inside very separately, very secretly. He should not see anything. But ultimately, his son sees. When he sees a dead body, when he sees a old person, he gets questioned. Why old age comes? Why they have to die? Why some people have to suffer like this? Why these miseries have come? Why? These questions are haunting him, my dear friends. This is what we have to put. Why this society is like this? This is what I told. These people search like this. Then Buddha gave up everything in 1 minute and he came out. When he came out, maybe he crossed 25, 29, maybe 29-year-old man Buddha was. He left his wife, He left his very sweet son, a small son, and he came out and he started searching a path. And Buddha's philosophy may not be correct. He tells, search within yourself. And many years he searched. Ultimately, he realized just by doing tapas, we cannot do anything. He started preaching everybody. Search within yourself. Have 5 basic things. That is truth, kindness, compassion, love. All these things you should maintain your life. He started teaching and preaching. Buddha, I need not tell much. What I want to highlight here, the point is, when he found what is truth, he never felt a minute also attachment with his luxurious life. In a second, he left everything. Very few can do. We will tell Buddha is not correct, Buddha is wrong, what Buddha told, what Christ told. These are all religious things that they taught. Why we should take. Today, this world is world of science. No, this is not correct understanding. In every field, every era, we find the people who fought for justice, who fought for truth. Buddha tells about justice. Buddha tells about truth. They only can create a new epoch, new era. Yes, today, Buddha's ideas or Vivekananda's ideas or Christ's ideas cannot show the path. That is why, my dear friends, slowly society started changing and science developed, scientific era started during the days of Renaissance. Just before that, when science has developed in 14th century, you might have heard the names of Copernicus, Bruno, Galileo. Copernicus actually first time tells, yes, Earth is not rotating, Sun is not rotating around the Earth. Earth is rotating around the Sun. Earth is round. This is the concept. First time scientifically he proves and tells Copernicus. But he could not tell it very openly. Last days of his life, he calls one publisher and asks him. He writes a very beautiful book, bringing so many facts with all proof how it is heliocentric society. It is not geocentric, heliocentric it is. That means sun is there and earth is rotating around the sun. This concept he brought, he proved many things about earth also. He narrated many things, its characters, how it is not square, it is round, all those things. Then he wanted to publish that book. Then that publisher took the book. What happened, the tragedy was Copernicus died and publisher is with his book. Then publisher got scared. If he prints that book, what will happen? Church will not agree. Church is propagating. Earth is very important, very holy, and earth is center and sun is rotating. This concept has to change, and that is changed in that book. And they may kill him. So out of that fear, he writes one preface to that book. In that preface, he tells, somebody made some writing, somebody wrote some ideas of him in this book. You may not agree with these ideas. That is his personal, his subjective ideas. He mentioned this way. He tells some as means donkey wrote this book. This way, something like that. He writes. Then he listening this, seeing this, Bruno tells very beautifully. Yes, one ass is telling to convince many more asses. He gave back to that publisher. Then ultimately, Bruno fought for this concept, fought for science. He fought against church fathers, and churches did not like it. They're scared. And ultimately, they arrested him and they wanted to kill him. And they go to Bruno and they wanted to kill him by burning. He was actually burnt alive. He was killed. Then they asked Bruno, at least now you ask sorry. At least now you beg. We can leave you. Then he beautifully replies to them, "You who are condemning me are in greatest fear than I who am condemned." Beautiful. What is the meaning? You are afraid of me. Why shall I fear? Because you are going to kill me. I don't want to fear you. I only will tell the truth very boldly to the society. This was Bruno. My dear friends, this is the challenging character. This is the boldness. This is the courage one should have once you want to lead very ideal lives, you want to maintain principles, want to serve the society. That's why I just like to remind you, many people do not know the struggle of all these great men. Another great scientist we have seen, Madame Curie. I always feel Madame Curie not ordinary lady. She comes from a very big family, and that time Poland was a colony, and they were not encouraged for higher education. Somehow she struggled, and first lady scientist. We must recognize this point. She did not become just like that, a scientist like a hobby. Nowadays we ask students, I like to study science. Why? I want to become scientist. I told earlier itself in my speech how a scientist is, and she cannot be. She was not that type of scientist. No comparison at all. And she got twice Nobel Prize. And I want to tell only few things. I don't want to analyze what all she did, how she struggled for pitch blend, how she invented radium or X-ray. All these things I'm not telling. All these inventions or findings. No, no. I want to tell about her character. She suffered a lot and a very poor condition. There was no money to propagate or do research or to do further or scientific experiments, and many people wanted to contribute to her that she doesn't like to receive also from people when they wanted to contribute. And ultimately when she gets this Nobel Prize, she gets huge amount, and from that amount a big portion she gives to the war fund, because people who are fighting in war, they need this amount, because she loves country, a great patriot she was. She likes to spend that amount to those soldiers, those people who are giving life, who are fighting against imperialists. When the First World War is going on, whether you know or not this incident, she has taken that X-ray machine and she was tired. Almost last days, I can tell you. Many people advised her, why you are so tired? Please go and take rest. No, walking miles together. She takes that machine and helps the wounded soldiers in the First World War. And another time when she got the Nobel Prize, then also what she does is that amount, a big portion, again she gives the patients who are suffering from tuberculosis, TB patients. They need amount. These are all not small things, my dear friends. Please don't consider some contributions she has given. Many people give. No, she had no money to do her experiments or research. I told. Still, she did not feel she has to keep that money for herself. So dignified a lady. Never she begs from anybody. Even after her husband's death, who actually gives so much company in finding so many things in scientific research, and together actually they got this Nobel Prize. And she loved him very deeply. When he died also, she did not become weak. This actually, many women should note this point. And nothing make her weak doesn't mean that she doesn't love her husband. She tells actually, a great brain stopped thinking. This is the expression actually she gives. This Madame Curie, many do not know. When she found radium, many advised her, you did a great job. Why can't you do patent? And if you make patent this radium, this process, product, everything you enjoy, and you will get huge amount. Then she refuses. A scientist never do this, should not do this. A scientist does things for the interest of humankind, for the upliftment of the society, for the upliftment of the humankind, for the necessity of the people. For their sake, he finds many things in their scientific research. If a scientist becomes selfish, uses things for their self-interest, then he will not be called as a scientist, he will be a careerist. That she tells, it was appreciated by another great scientist, Einstein. Dear friends, this is Madame Curie. Then I like to tell another wonderful personality, that was Einstein. You know, Einstein was known for he found theory of relativity. It was a wonderful thing it was. And its impact is there on philosophy. Its impact is there everywhere, because truth is not concrete. Truth is relative. Everything is relative. Don't study things in a dogmatic way. Don't study things in a one sort of a static way. You study things. Don't say that there is permanent truth, absolute truth. Truth is relative in a concrete condition, in concrete time. But truth is concrete, truth is one. This concept we could arrive because Einstein type of scientists actually made those experiments, and that helped actually people to realize. And our leader, Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, always, whenever he taught anything, whenever he analyzed the problems of country, he used the weapon, that is the weapon of the science, and he took from many great scientists much knowledge, not only Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, even the Marx, Karl Marx also, all great people, all great philosophers of this era, they took from scientists. This Einstein, I'm not going into his findings or his research. This is not our job today. My job is to tell about their ideal characters. And he was another scientist who did everything for the cause of the upliftment of the people. And he beautifully tells. Today you see our textbooks are full of facts. Science means applied science, no basic science. Basic sciences are thoroughly neglected. Fundamental sciences have gone. How to repair a TV, how to make a refrigerator, how to become a mechanic. Mechanical engineer means how to repair that, how to make that product, how to make this product, how to make that engine, how to make a car, automobile. For this, basic science is required, that is neglected. And we are applying. From there, we have come to computer today. Computer has come, mobile has come. Yes, these are all applied science. These are all technical. This is technology, we say. Technology at once is not science, but technology is needed. Technology came out of basic science. That basic science is totally neglected. About this, Einstein very beautifully, he tells actually, I fear the day that technology surpasses our human interaction and relations, then world will create a generation of idiots. This is Einstein. Idiots means what? Who have got no knowledge. They talk of many, many things, but they cannot analyze. They cannot correlate. They cannot face problems. They may commit suicide also, because problem will put fear in them. This mechanical thinking, he feels very bad. That is why he warns people how to judge man, how to judge people. There he tells actually, students community, it is very much important. He tells all youth, try not to become a man of talents. Please listen this. Try not to become a man of talents. Try to become man of virtues. If you want to become man of talents, then talent or capabilities cannot make full man. Just some aspects of a man. Man becomes full. Man becomes man. As Vivekananda told, it is a character building process education. It is man making process education. Then only man will become full man. Not just by taking some degrees, as many great men told, or Netaji told, we cannot, taking some degrees or some certificates, you cannot become really a great knowledgeable man. How you give back to your country, how you fight for justice, then you will become great man. So here only, please try to understand this. Don't become man of talent. Many times appreciate people. Appa, what a talent! How well he speaks English. How he will talk things. How he will. He is a very great artist. Yes, I do appreciate. You do appreciate. No problem. But don't judge a man just by that. Judge a man based on his culture, based on his values, based on his struggle, based on his aim of life, how they're uncompromising, how they're fighting for truth and justice. That is why Comrade Shibdas Ghosh tells very beautifully to the youth. Who is youth? Youth is who uncompromisingly fight for truth and justice is youth. Youth is not just young age. Sarath Chandra Chatterjee tells very beautifully to the youth in his writings. Very beautifully it tells youth means who he who suffers, who he suffers, and always feels bad about his past, or tells the glorified things of the past that we did, that we have got, or feeling very bad and living in this thing in the world of the suffering, pain, and live like a old man. That is not youthful character. Real youth lives in the present, understand the present, and sees at future, what to do to the future, how to develop the future, how to make future bright. This is Sarath Chandra Chatterjee. I like to tell, actually, originally I'm from Andhra Pradesh. You know, Sri Sri, he was a poet. Very beautifully, he coined one beautiful song. That is, I know well in Telugu. That is, some youth always they grumble, always they feel for very enjoyable life. By birth, they will be old people. They live in the past. By birth, they are old. And there will be some youth, some young people who sees they will at future, they're messengers of the future epoch. They create epoch. They are the youth. Very beautiful song, actually, very beautiful poem. I cannot read and I don't remember everything now. But these are all people, great writers and great people, how they analyze things, you see. Einstein tells this point. Please remember this. This Einstein was not just a scientist. He always searched reason why so many poor people, why haves and have-nots, why this society is like this. This society is based on capitalists and they're controlling everything. Society is divided into two classes. This society should change. Socialism should come. Equality should come. This was his desire. From there, he tells very beautifully, 100 times every day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depend on the labor of other men, labor of laborers, labor of working men, whether living or dead, and that I must exert myself to give in the some measure I have received. And I'm still receiving. See the greatness of the scientist. He did not simply spend his entire life in laboratory itself. Atom bomb he found, but he never said this is to be used to do unjust wars for peace. But you know how that was used by America and Hiroshima, Nagasaki, all these things, Nagasaki, all those things, you know, I don't want to enter. But Einstein was a different type of a scientist and different type of a great humanist, I can tell. This is about scientists, my dear friends. And another personality I want to introduce, because this is a loving subject, I tell you. I am dealing about ideals in front of the students. Then these ideals in front of the students, when I deal, I must tell some great people, whatever they did great things, whatever they taught to us, let us remember, at least today, let us remember it. And you heard Vidyasagar. And I need not tell much about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was not his full name. His real name was Ishwar Chandra. And Vidyasagar came because his knowledge was like ocean. He has got so much knowledge. He read Sanskrit, he read Vedas, he read science, he read materialist philosophy. Not only just he read, when he read it, he realized this is the philosophy our students in India they need. And from there he started propagating, he started fighting, he struggled all through. Our Indian people, our Indian students, they need English, they need mathematics, they need logic, they need history, they need science. These are all the subjects that to be taught in schools, not Sanskrit. Sanskrit alone cannot serve the purpose, and not Vedanta. Sankhya Vedanta, already they became old. It is undisputed matter. And what we need is Mill's philosophy, that is based on materialism, European philosophy we need, that he opposes. I am not entering into all those details. Many of you know already about Vidyasagar. I think you held one discussion on him. But what I want to tell, how Vidyasagar loved people. His love is not just a blind love. His love is, he was a great secularist. He was a great humanist. He was a great materialist. His concept of secularism really is exceptional. He never allowed, he never propagated that religion should come or should be there in education. He opposes it very strongly. If you believe religion, please make your personal faith. Don't bring it in education. Not only that, my dear friends, he never believed God. All through he remained. Even during his death, his daughter once asked, he was dying, and there was some puja going on. And there was a very, what you call, that smoke was coming inside the God's room. Then she calls, please, Father, come inside and do prayer. Then he beautifully tells, no, 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 smoke is there, I can't come. Because smoke may disturb my health. It is only smoke, it is nothing. Why shall I come inside? Anyhow, friends, I need not enter into all these things. One thing I tell you about his character. Once he used to give money to so many poor people, and his friend warns him, no, 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 don't give like this money to all people. They may cheat you, that, this and all. Then Vidyasagar tells, no, no. Once you decide to give some help or some money to somebody, the day itself you decide, you may get cheated. I tell you one thing, my dear friend. Instead of cheating others, better you get cheated. At least you will remain as a man. This is Vidyasagar. Anyhow, this Vidyasagar, when he believed widow marriage, he married his own son. He told his son, Narayan, he asked him, why can't you marry one widow? Son agreed and got married. Afterwards, son got contradiction and he left wife and he left the home. Vidyasagar felt very bad and wife felt very much pained. Son left. Then Vidyasagar decided. He told, legally he told, he declared, he told, this son who left his wife is no more my son. The wife of son, daughter-in-law, she is my daughter. He simply left that son. He lost all connections. He lost every relation. He gave up everything with son. This was Vidyasagar. Vidyasagar, whatever he believed, whatever he practiced was a great thing. And he was great Anveshi. He searches for truth. Once he gets truth, he practices. Simply, he doesn't think of how sufferings will go, how people will get education, how people will get knowledge. No, no. How to get, he will search, he'll fight for it uncompromisingly. He never compromised. This was Vidyasagar. Another great personality, Bhagat Singh. I need not deal about Bhagat Singh, but one character I tell you, you know that very well how Bhagat Singh fought against Britishers and he gave his life, smilingly went to gallows. And last minute, they asked, that jailer asked, can't you believe, at least now, pray to God. Then he tells, never I believed God. I questioned rather God. Why this many miseries you created? How can I believe this minute because I'm going to die? If I do it, that will be great humiliation to me and it will be a sort of cheating to the people. I should not do it. This is what Bhagat Singh tells. Another beautiful character of Bhagat Singh. When Bhagat Singh was in jail, his father actually writes to British government a mercy letter to release his son and on grounds of mercy. Then Bhagat Singh feels very bad. Then he writes letter to father and he tells father, please print this letter, please publish this letter. In that letter, he tells father, I know that you know me very well, but you know, you are actually patriot, Deshabhakta. I learnt many things from you. I became freedom fighter, learning many things from you. I got that respect. You know that today I'm alone, not dying. My friends, Sukadev, Rajaguru are also dying along with me. Why you did not feel for them, father? Why you felt for me only? You felt weak for me? You felt, I am your son, I am dying. And you know that for what I'm dying? I'm fighting Britishers. I fought Britishers. I demand Britishers to go out of this country. For this, I'm giving life. And Britishers are our enemies. But today you are going out and asking my enemies to give life to me and you are begging them. I feel very sorry, father. Though I learned from you how to love country, today I can say you actually betrayed me and you became Deshadrohi. This is what Bhagat Singh tells to his own father. That means in front of truth, in front of justice, in front of the cause of the society and country, it doesn't care even his beloveds. Care means it is not carelessness. It doesn't bow his head. So dignified, so uncompromising, so loving personality. He loves the country. This is Bhagat Singh. I like to remind you, my dear friends, when we take up the lofty ideals, lofty cause to follow, these are all the beloveds who will shake us. But there, please remember Bhagat Singh. This is my I love this incident of Bhagat Singh than many other incidents because he never hesitated to fight his own father. Another great personality, few things I tell about. I told, I believe Marxism. And Marxism is not just an ideology. It is not just some great things. It is ideology. It is a philosophy. It covers all aspects of life. It is guide to action. It did not interpret just what is world. It showed how to change the world. For the first time. That is Marxism. That was Karl Marx. And Karl Marx in childhood itself, he writes one essay to his teacher. He writes, what is your aim of life? I like to serve the majority of the people. In his 9th standard, he writes this. That was Karl Marx. And I need not tell much about him. Few things I like to share with you. Why Karl Marx became great? Why people frighten him those days? Capitalists, many people think that first time Karl Marx told about class struggle. No. Class struggle was told by our world economists, Ricardo, Adam Smith. They told value is created by labor class. That they tells. But they never could say this labor class can come to power, will come to power. They will come to the rule. They will rule the world. That they could not understand it. This was told by Karl Marx first time. He tells working class they will be the rulers in future after capitalism, and they will rule and they will create a new society, socialism, next communism. Dictatorship of the working class will be established in socialism. Dictatorship of capitalist class will be demolished. And that means what? Minority is oppressing majority, that will be changed. Majority will come to the power to rule the country. That is socialism. Through revolution it will come, and working class should get organized. For that he gave the philosophy, dialectical materialism, and the Marxism. I don't enter into all the details. Few incidents I want to tell. First time, why capitalists feared Karl Marx so much? Because he was participating in all struggles of working class of those days in Europe. In all countries, whatever struggles were taking place, he was helping, he was participating, he was guiding, he was giving the ideological strength, ideological weapon, the ideas, that is dialectical materialism and Marxism, how classes came, how the injustice came, how exploitation came, how working class will come to power. All this knowledge he was giving. And another frightened thing happened. He showed one beautiful thing, how this exploitation takes place because of surplus value. All these details I am not entering. Time is up. Surplus value is nothing but profit of the capitalist, unpaid labor to the laborers. Through an example, I can tell what is surplus value, my dear friends, but much time is not there. Say, for example, a factory is there, a spinning factory is there, and there will be two types of capital. One is stable capital and another is variable capital. This stable capital creates this factory and land, and for that, every month you have to pay 1 lakh rupees. Say, for example, 12 lakh it is, 1 lakh that spinning factory you take, and you have to buy cloth. For that, you have to spend some minimum 50,000 rupees. That is also stable capital. And 1 lakh and 50,000. And ultimately, you have to pay the cost of labor, that is labor power to the labor class, to working class. The labor power is this much. They counted that and they pay, say, 1 lakh for all workers. And when they sell it in the market, they sell it for 3.5 lakhs. And they have gained more amount, 1 lakh extra. They spend 2.5 and 1 lakh extra. What is this extra? That is surplus value. Workers worked for 4 hours, 8 hours, but they are paid for 4 hours of their labor power, not for 8 hours. Other 4 hours labor power, they keep it in their pocket as their profit. That is surplus value. This surplus value had shaken entire capitalist class. That is why those days he was chased by the police. He was in exile, country to country. Belgium, Germany, England, France, everywhere he moved. He was chased by the police. There actually, Karl Marx's wife, she was not known to many people. Jenny Marx. About her few things, just I will complete after telling this and about Communist Shibdas Ghosh. She actually very great compared to Karl Marx, his wife, and she played very great role. She comes from a rich family. Karl Marx, he never cares money, he never cares facilities. He cares one thing, that is knowledge, that is philosophy to the working class. For that, he all through worked. He wrote the Capital book. To write that Capital book, Engels actually helps a lot. He was in a very poor condition. He lost everything. Lenin actually points out very beautifully. If there was no Engels, Engels did not earn money and save the family, mostly would not have got that great book Capital in our hand, which can shake this capitalist system. That Karl Marx wife, once Karl Marx was caught by this British, the government, in the France and Prussia, they asked him to leave Paris within 24 hours. Then wife came to know, Jenny, who lived with him, and she never grumbled. I don't have money. I did not get. Karl Marx did not do. Rather, she appreciated. Rather, she lived with him every minute. She helped him. That was Jenny. She not only just appreciated, she loved him like one great leader. Then Jenny felt very much disturbed, got frightened. What will happen if a husband is taken by the police? And what to do? So midnight she was going here and there to search some well-wishers, some people who can help them, who can tell about husband, he is not doing anything wrong. She goes there. There, some on the road, some police people take her to a jail. That prison is also very horrible. Many beggars and many wretched fallen women, such people are there. She stays there. Ultimately, she came out. She understands that her husband is also arrested. This way, dear friends, it happened in 1845, afterwards again 1849. Again, there was exile. Again, they're chased. In this changing, what happens, please try to understand. It is the most important thing for us to note. In this difficult situation, her son, first son, Edgar, then next son, Fox. She loved that small kid very deeply, both of them. But that son dies out of pneumonia. They could not give any medicine, correct medicine, or they could not give any medical facilities. So son dies. It was most painful thing. She felt it is the most painful thing. I have seen first time in my life, our beloved dies, how we will suffer. After a few years, again, another painful incident happens. Francesca, her daughter, she loves that daughter, very small kid, and she develops pneumonia and a serious disease. Again, that girl dies. The most painful thing, there was no money to bury that girl. There was no money to buy coffin to keep that dead body. And child's dead body is one room. In another room, Mark's wife Jenny, other three children, all were sitting. Whole night they wept. And one friend contributed something to buy a coffin, and that small, tiny dead body was kept in that coffin. And Jenny writes actually all these things to her friend. In that letter, she writes, when she was burned, there was no cradle. When she died, there was no coffin. We could not provide cradle, we could not provide coffin. This much. And afterwards, another son, seventh son, dies just after birth. Another time, I am not going into details. Another time, another son. She was in a very, very poor condition, very difficult situation. And there was nobody who could give some help. Very little help they used to get from friends. And that child, she developed some disease, some wounds in her breast, in her at back. She was finding difficulty to give feeding. And there were some vet mothers, vet nurses who can do this job. There was no money. Then she has to feed the child while giving feeding. When child is sucking the milk, instead of milk, blood is coming. She was helplessly watching all these things. And this way that child suffered. And this way she lost so many of her children. 3 children died. She actually tells her friend, my dear friend, I'm not writing all these things to get some sympathy, or I want to narrate my pains to others. I got a very beloved husband, that is Karl Marx. And Marx never likes and to ask any help from others. And Marx was a different type of a man, very dignified. He all through lived happily, smilingly. Even difficulties he bore boldly, smilingly. When beloveds died also, tears came, but he did not went back an inch from his noble cause to fight for the justice of the working class. That was Karl Marx. She writes in the book, but this Karl Marx was not understood by many. When many people got help from Karl Marx, but many people are not coming now to give that help. That pained me. But this pain, please don't think I'm suffering because I married Marx. That is why I'm weeping. No, I want the world to know, it is to be recorded. My dear friends, in writing it is not there. We cannot understand Karl Marx. Many people think Karl Marx was just economist. He was not just economist. He was a great philosopher. Not only just great philosopher. As he told, we have to change the world. Before changing the world, we the working class should change. He changed himself to the level of working class and he became the great leader of the proletariat. And he gave a great philosophy, the weapon to the working class hands to fight against injustice and exploitation. That Marx, many people got scared because any man, whoever is very strong in character, fights the oppressors, they fear because is in favor of oppressed. So, my dear friends, about few people I could tell in front of you. All these people become why great ideals because they have not told something. They have not talked out of some feeling, some emotion. No, they told certain things by observing the society, by seeing the society out of great humanity, out of great love, and searching for truth, searching for solution. And in this process, like Karl Marx, Engels, Lenin, all these people emerged very great scientific philosophers there. They understood scientifically why classes came, how class struggle is to be ended, how a classless society, a great society will be created. In this process, all these great people about whomever I told in field of science or to reform the society, I tell you, Vidyasagar was not just a reformer, was a man of truth, fighter, uncompromising fighter. So all these people, in the interest of the society, they struggled all through in their life without compromise for ideals. That is why, dear friends, we need them. I am working for an organization. You know that I follow Comrade Shivdas Ghosh's ideas. When he understood in our country, all these problems are coming because of the socio-economic system and ours is a capitalist system. Haves and have-nots are there. Very big money bags are there. Adanis and Ambanis are there. Tatas and Birlas are there. As long as these people are there, they will live on their profit. They will make huge profit. They will make very huge property and they'll exploit. They will take the sweat and blood of the workers by using the labor of the workers, by exploiting them. They are doing everything. That is what we are seeing today. Even after Corona, how society is suffering. You please try to understand how economic crisis is going every day. Even today, we are seeing this Corona. So many people are dying and proper facilities are not given. All these things you discussed in your earlier discussions. I need not enter into that. Today, 66,000 people died in our country. More than 66,000 people. 37 lakh 73,483 people got affected by Corona, but still no proper facilities. And all facilities are for few rich people, but not for the poor masses. You have seen in these Corona days how migrant workers walking miles together, how they reached their homes out of their fear. What will happen to them? And you know that in our country, so many people died out of hunger. But I think we have to add much more number to that. Daily we say in our country, out of hunger, 7,000 people die. 4,000 children die out of malnutrition. and 10,000 people, they die due to lack of medical facilities. It was 2 years back, 1 year back news, but today many thousands more added to this number. Then migrant workers' fate, I need not explain to you, my dear friends. You heard many things already, how they suffered. Even today they are suffering. Economic crisis is deepening like anything. And today they declared Ambani is the sixth richest man in the world. And economic crisis, all will talk. This economic crisis is not for capitalist. Capitalist economic crisis is one thing, because he cannot earn profit, there is no market, there is no purchasing capacity among people. People are not able to buy things. People are not able to eat food. We heard earlier, 2 years back in Delhi, 3 children died because of lack of food. 3 children died. These type of incidents are many today. Poor people are not able to give sufficient food to their children. They are committing suicide. Many committed suicide. More than 1,000 people died during this when migrants, workers were walking towards their places. More than 1,000 people died. This is what I think these numbers are very less. Many more are dying. This corona is killing, corona disease is telling. I tell you, more than corona, this starvation, poverty, lack of food for these people are dying, my dear friends. Here, our leader teacher from Shibdas Ghosh showed very beautifully, very well he showed. In young age, during freedom movement time, he understood the problem is not due to Britishers alone. Britishers may go, but if capitalist system doesn't get changed, this system remains in the hands of Tatas and Birlas, we will not get real freedom. Our freedom is just political freedom, that's all. Real freedom comes when we organize exploited people, when we show to them this exploitation is the root cause, when we show to them this capitalist class is the root cause for miseries, for problems, for hunger, for unemployment, all these problems. Today for women, there is no safety, there is no dignified position. Even small children are raped. Women trafficking, how it is going on. In Hyderabad, when they come to know a mother is going to give birth to a child, they book it seems that girl is to be sent to other countries, Dubai and other countries. Can you believe it? It is happening in our country. 3 years old kid also can be raped. 85 years old lady also can be raped. Rape became a common disease among the diseased youth, diseased people, diseased even old men. Please don't think so. Only youth are involving in it. And old people are no less. They are raping small kids. They are raping their own children. This is our country. Lofty ideals, lofty feelings, lofty emotions are dying. Relations are for money and profit. There is no peace of mind. There is no happiness. This is society today. To this society, a great torchbearer in 1948, Communist Shibdas Ghosh warned and told, my dear friends, we have not achieved freedom. It is a political, but not economically, culturally, socially. We are still backward. We are still under somebody's rule. This is to be changed. That Comrade Ghosh, when he built this organization, our organization, he told very beautiful point. He told many things to the student community also. Many asked him, what you are doing? Can you see change in the society? Can you bring revolution? He told, what's the problem? I may not bring revolution. I may not see the change with my own eyes, but let me put the first brick of the foundation of the new society, that is socialism and communism. I may die, but my ideas are not my favorite ideas. They're scientific, they're materialist. They will come one day. They will bring a new society and others will bring it. This is what I like to tell, he told. And he told very beautiful thing in a student conference to the students community. My dear friends, death will come. It is common to all. When you have to die, please don't die putting your head down. Raise your head high. Die for a noble cause. like a man. Don't die like ordinary rats and dogs in the street. If you die, die for noble cause, die for a great cause, like a nobleman, an uncompromising fighter. For this, there is a path. This path may be full of thorns and full of difficulties, full of pains, but I can assure you this path is a noblest path. This noblest path only can give you immense happiness because you are not living for yourself, you are living for the society. This I like to tell, I like to stress. Many people tell, I like to become that, I like to earn money, I like to do this, I like to do that. What I have to become in this society is not important. What I have to give back to this society is more important, my dear students. Your age is young, as I told. You are energetic, you are youthful. Comrade Shibdas Coach told many times. The young people, the students, they're bright, they're great, they're young and energetic. They can change the society. All through history was changed by the minority, by few people, and among them you find this young and bright section, the most courageous section, the most ideal section, and most inspiring section. I today I feel very happy to be with you all because this is a different type of experience for me. I all through worked in a student organization. I found always students are beautiful. Today I'm seeing it. Many tell that students are going in wrong line, students are going in wrong way. No student is going in a wrong line. Students are pulled in wrong line. Students are confused by wrong writings. Or students are confused by pornography. Students are confused by obscenity. Students are confused by drugs. Students are misled. But when we have got the lofty ideas and ideals and great struggles, when you propagate this, when you tell it, this very students community can take these ideas because their mind is fresh, their mind is beautiful, they're tender, they think, they search, they fight, they're bold. This is what I believe. Definitely, if students decide, they can change. With this belief, my dear friends, I placed uh, how much ever I tried to make it in a short time, that is within 1 hour. I crossed the time, uh, but uh, the subject is such. I have to tell about a few people because any change doesn't come by dream alone. It should be realistic. It should be based on science, I told. In reality, in history, many people did. We may not become Karl Marx. We may not become Shibdas Ghosh. We may not become Bhagat Singh today itself. But you know, this history is contributed by many people. This great civilization could develop by many great people contribution. Many people, whatever we read in textbooks, whatever you study, 200 pages, 300 pages, in every page, every line, every word, you see the great contribution, great sacrifice of the people. That way many people are there. At least let us become one among those great many people. Then one day we will become Buddha. One day we will become Christ. One day we will become Bhagat Singh. One day we will become Karl Marx. One day we will become the great men like them. With this, I conclude. Thank you, my dear friends. And long live your students' unity and your struggle to fight for your educational cause, fight for your students' cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Keuma. We are very grateful to her. Uh, with her very emotional speech, she overwhelmed us with lot of emotions and lot of determination. Of course, we have galaxy of lofty ideals before us. Those predecessors of us who expected lot of things from us. She could depict only few glimpses of some of the great men of the past who should be the ideals of our life. Those great men, they always gave a call to students and youths. They always had expectations from us. They consider us. They considered us as their successor, and so now the responsibility lies upon us. Onus is on us that we try to grasp those lofty morals, values, ethics in our life and try to carry forward the struggle for change in the society as these people have carried, sacrificing almost their everything, their life, their families, and everything. So, as the rulers have always felt, the present rulers are also feeling that students are threat, education is dangerous to their ruling clique, and so there is a big attack on the education. This new education policy, friends, we should understand that it is not only a political agenda, it is not only a privatization or economical agenda, it is not only the communal agenda, it is a class agenda to keep the students away from these lofty ideals, to make students fanatics, to make students machine like, to make students without any stuff. So our fight against NEP is not only the fight for education, it is fight for the entire society. So if we want to save the society, we have to determine ourselves that we need to save the education. And with that determination, we have to carry forward this movement. We have to build up this movement countrywide with all constraints. We have to go to the common students and make them understand that it is need of the hour. We common students, youths, come forward to save this education. So I feel that we take these lessons from the great ideals, and again we are very much grateful to Shri K. Uma that at this juncture, when we really required many inspirations, she has depicted very nicely before us uh, their life struggle, their ideals, and what is the task before us. So with this, I conclude. Already we know that signature campaign is going on. In our students pledge and AIDSO different posters, and in different posts you will find its link, its QR code. So I request, I appeal all the students on behalf of AIDSO to make it successful. This is the bicentenary year of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, the great educationist of our country, and let us give him a real tribute on 26th September by collecting crores and crores of signatures of the common students and give a loud message to the rulers that students of this country are not ready to serve you like slaves. They will be resisting any attack on education. With this, I conclude. Thank you all, friends. One more announcement. Sorry, the next discussion will be on 6th September. 6th September, same time, we will be meeting. The poster we will keep uh, uh, in our page. So all are requested to join on 6th of September for the further discussion. Thank you, friends.